So this is the EPIP action plan for the same performer as last time for football, and the weakness I'll be targeting for them is strength. The aim of the training plan is to improve the player's strength over an 8-week period. The target is that the player will be able to increase the weight that the player can lift in a specific exercise by 20% of the initial total weight they could lift. The muscle that will be targeted to improve for this 8 weeks is the pectoralis major. The player's progress will be measured by using a bench press exercise. The player will lie flat on the bench with both feet on the ground. As they lower the bar downwards, they will inhale and exhale as they raise the bar upwards. The sessions will be running for 30 to 40 minutes. In week 1, for the first session, the player will perform a warm-up to prevent injury. This will consist of a pulse raising exercise, stretches of that muscle, and strength training related exercise. For this session, they'll be doing the bench press to gain insight of the correct weight to use for the performer. It will be a 30-minute exercise of high intensity with short rests and only 4 to 6 sets. After this, they'll perform a cool down consisting of pulse lowering, gentle stretches, and this allows them to prepare for their next session. In session 2 of week 1, they'll perform a warm up, but this time they'll be doing they'll be using the pec fly machine for 30 minutes. This will be at high intensity. The performer will position the seat to a medium height to target the whole muscle. They'll bring their arms outwards while inhaling slowly and bring their arms together, contracting the muscle whilst exhaling. They'll do this for 4 to 6 sets and then they'll perform a cool down. In week 2, for session 1, again they'll perform a warm up, but this time they'll be doing a dumbbell press, similar to the bench press but only with dumbbells. They won't go too heavy but will aim for control and higher amounts of reps. This will consist of 4 to 6 sets again and 15 plus reps. After this, they'll perform a cool down. In session 2 of week 2, they'll perform a warm up and then they'll be doing the pec fly, but this time on a cable machine. It's very similar to the initial pec fly machine. They'll step outwards slightly from the machine, bring their arms to their side, and then bring their arms outwards so that they're just behind the midline of their body. And as they bring it to the front, they'll exhale, and when they bring it back to their sides, they'll be inhaling. This allows for a longer contraction of the muscle as they bring their arms further outwards opposed to the initial pec fly machine. They'll do this for 4 to 6 sets. After this, they'll perform a cool down. Going into week 3, session 1, they'll perform a warm up with dumbbell press, but only 3 sets of the bench on incline and 3 sets of the bench on decline. This targets specific areas of the pectoral muscle. This will be a total of 6 sets at high intensity and then they'll perform a cool down. In session 2, they'll perform a warm up again. And they'll be doing the pec fly on the cables again, but this time with 3 sets of the cables positioned at high up, and they'll bring their arms downwards. And then 3 sets of the cables positioned low, and you bring your arms upwards when contracting. This will be a total of 6 sets at high intensity, and again they'll perform a cool down. Going into week 4, they'll be performing a warm up and they'll be doing the bench press again. This time they'll progress the weight that they initially did in week 1, and they'll aim for a lower amount of reps, so this will specifically target their explosive strength. They'll do this for 4 to 5 sets but only 6 to 8 reps. After this, they'll perform a cool down. In session 2 of week 4, they'll perform a warm up with the pec fly, but this time with dumbbells. They'll be doing this on a flat bench as well. They'll do this for 4 to 6 sets, and we'll ensure that the weights are slightly lighter so they can get used to the exercise. Yeah, do this for 10 to 15 reps, and then they'll perform a cool down. Going into week 5, for session 1, they'll be doing a warm up, and they'll be doing the bench press on a Smith machine. Now, since this is assisted, they'll be doing a heavier weight with the same amount of reps, around 10 to 15 reps. They'll be doing this for 4 to 6 reps, and after this they'll perform a cool down. In session 2, they'll perform a warm up and then they'll be doing wide dips. The performer will position the handles of the apparatus wide apart so that when they push their body upwards, the lower part of their pectoralis major will be contracted. Yeah. They'll do this for 4 to 5 sets, and then they'll do a cool down. Going into week 6, they'll perform a warm up, and then they'll be doing diamond press ups. The performer will place their hands close together, with their finger and thumb from each hand touching, creating a diamond shape with their 2 hands. They'll do this for 4 to 5 sets and then perform a cool down. Going into session 2, they'll perform a warm up and then they'll repeat the pec fly machine that they initially did. But this time we'll be progressing and they'll be doing heavier weights, and aiming to do similar amount of reps as they did in the first week. They'll do this for 4 to 5 sets because you don't want to exhaust them since they're doing heavier weights than they initially did, and then they'll perform a cool down. Going into week 7, they'll perform a warm up and they'll be doing wide dips but on a assisted machine, where the weights help to push the performer up by falling down and pushing a pad up against the player's legs, helping them to push them up. They'll do this for 4 to 7 sets, with a minimum of 15 reps, nearing 20 reps. After this, they'll perform a cool down. Going into session 2, they'll be doing a warm up and then the pec fly with cables in varied positions again. However, heavier weight, but this time less reps, with 3 sets in each position that the cables are positioned. After this, they'll be doing a cool down. Finally, going into week 8, they'll be doing a warm up, but then the bench press again with progressed heavier weights. They'll do this for 4 to 5 sets, and aiming around 10 to 15 reps. Then they'll perform a cool down. Session 2, warm up, and then they'll be doing press ups with their legs raised, isolating the muscle. And they'll be doing this for 4 to 5 sets, 10 to 15 reps, and then they'll perform a cool down. Depending on the performer's progress, a third session may be added into the going on from week 5. But you need to take into account that they may already have incorporated strength training into their initial training program, and this training plan will just be extra from what they are already doing. Okay, thanks for listening.